Imagine this. The clock hits 0, the siren blares, and the Brisbane Broncos have just snatched the 2025 NRL Grand Final from the jaws of the Melbourne Storm in a heart-stopping thriller that left a nation gasping. But wait, hold on. Fullback Reece Walsh, the electric kid who's dodged defenders like they're standing still, stumbles off the victory bus at 7 a.m. the next day, eyes bloodshot from a night of pure chaos, and drops a bombshell message to breakfast TV king Karl that has the entire studio erupting in laughter. What could possibly make a hungover hero turn the tables on one of Australia's biggest media personalities? Stick around, because this isn't just a win. It's a wild ride of redemption, roasts, and raw emotion that redefines NRL legacy. If you're hooked on this epic Broncos saga, smash that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications for Aussie NRL updates. Your front row seat to every tackle, try, and twist in the league. The roar of the 80,000-strong crowd at Accor Stadium still echoed in Reece Walsh's ears as the final whistle pierced the October night air on that fateful Sunday in 2025. The Broncos, under the steely gaze of coach Michael Maguire, had clawed their way back from a season of skepticism. Doubters whispering that Brisbane's premiership drought, stretching back to 2006, would never break. Yet here they were, up 28-24 against the juggernaut Storm, with Walsh's blistering 80-metre intercept try in the dying minutes sealing a victory that felt like destiny rewritten. Teammates piled on him in a heap of sweat-soaked jerseys, the premiership trophy glinting under the floodlights like a long-lost treasure finally unearthed. But as the confetti rained down and champagne sprayed like a monsoon, Walsh's mind flickered to something deeper, a personal fire that had fueled every sprint, every sidestep. His daughter, the tiny spark in his chaotic world, had been his anchor through injuries, controversies, and that infamous 2023 State of Origin headclash that nearly derailed his career. In the locker room, amid the primal screams and bear hugs from Payne Haas and Kotoni Staggs, Walsh whispered a promise to her photo tucked in his locker. "This one's for you, kid." The bus ride back to the team hotel was a blur of belting out Sweet Caroline at ear-splitting volumes, beer cans clinking like victory bells, and impromptu toasts to the underdogs who'd risen. Prop Corey Jensen, ever the joker, cracked open a slab and declared the night quiet, a sarcasm so thick it could choke a forward pack. But as the adrenaline ebbed into the early hours, the real stories began to simmer. Walsh, slipping away from the pack for a moment, fired up his Instagram live to 593,000 followers, capturing Maguire hoisting a bizarre trophy shaped like a toilet, a cheeky nod to Walsh's own past pranks that had once landed him in hot water. Laughter rippled through the feed as he panned to Stefano Utoikamanu, the hulking front rower, and quipped, "Vindication. This win wasn't just about stats, his 22 runs for 180 metres, 2 tries, and that game-sealing defensive masterclass, but about silencing the noise." The flight to Brisbane was an airborne afterparty, seats reclined into beds of discarded cans, with Adam Reynolds leading a chant that echoed the club's resurrection. Yet as wheels touched down and the terminal swarm awaited, a shadow of doubt crept in. Could this euphoric high sustain, or would the premiership pressure crush the dream? Little did they know, the real test was just revving up, with Suncorp Stadium's parade on the horizon promising revelations that would shock even the most die-hard supporter. Whispers of internal team dynamics, long-buried feuds surfacing in the glow of success, hung in the air like exhaust fumes, ready to ignite. Word count, 400. And that's why you need Aussie NRL updates in your feed, delivering the unfiltered truth behind every Broncos blockbuster, so hit subscribe if you haven't already. As the Broncos charter jet taxied to the gate in Brisbane, the cabin erupted one final time, a cacophony of whoops and high fives that masked the bone-deep fatigue settling in. Walsh, slumped against the window, replayed the grand final in his mind's eye, the Storm's late surge, Jarome Huey's ghosting run that nearly snuffed the dream, only for Walsh to materialise like a phantom, stripping the ball mid-air in a try-saving tackle that etched him into highlight reels for eternity. The terminal was a madhouse, fans in maroon jerseys 3 deep, chanting Walsh's name as if he'd single-handedly resurrected the club's soul. Maguire, ever the tactician, gathered the squad for a hushed huddle, his voice cracking with rare emotion as he credited the heartwarming act of including Walsh's daughter in the pre-game ritual, her tiny handprint on the team banner a talisman against defeat. But surprise lurked in the arrivals lounge. Stefano Utoikamanu, the off-season signing who'd become a Broncos linchpin, pulled Walsh aside with a bear hug and a confession. The big man's mid-season doubts about fitting into Brisbane's brotherhood had nearly broken him, until Walsh's locker room pep talks turned the tide. It was a revelation that humanized the hulking enforcer, transforming him from journeyman to legend in a single, sweat-drenched embrace. The bus to Suncorp rolled through sun-baked streets lined with well-wishers, horns blaring in rhythmic applause, but inside, tension simmered. Kotoni Staggs, the center's rock, fielded calls from agents hinting at retention battles ahead, his loyalty tested by whispers of bigger paydays elsewhere. Walsh, sensing the shift, fired off a group text. "We are family now, indivisible." The parade stadium swelled to 50,000, a sea of maroon undulating like a living beast, as Reynolds hoisted the trophy skyward, tears carving tracks through the grime on his face. Speeches flowed. Haas thanking his Pacifica roots, Rickard dedicating the win to his late grandmother. But Walsh saved his for last, voice booming over the PA. "This city's fire runs through us. We burn brighter together." The crowd thundered approval, yet in the wings, a cliffhanger unfolded. Leaked footage from the after-party showed a heated exchange between fringe players, egos flaring over bench rotations that had simmered all season. Would this victory paper over the cracks, or expose fractures that could fracture the dynasty before it began? As dusk fell, Walsh slipped away to a quiet corner, dialing his daughter. Her giggles over the line of balm against the brewing storm. The sun dipped below Brisbane skyline, casting long shadows over Suncorp as the parade's echoes faded into twilight. But the Broncos' odyssey was far from over. Walsh's message to Karl had ignited a media frenzy that peeled back layers